Hi, welcome. I'm so glad you are here. Today, we're talking about regulation and just how essential it is to our children, to our families, and to, in all honesty, all of our engagement with life because we are constantly being dysregulated. And so, our relationship with stress is really important. I hope we can spend a lot of time just really exploring what we can do to be as regulated as possible so that we can be anchored when we're engaging with very stressful situations in our family life and beyond. But specifically here, we're talking about how we engage with our children. So, what we know about regulation and dysregulation is that our systems have been geared to be scanning always for threats, and we find them. And it's because our system now is so filled to the brim with stressful situations that can really cause us anxiety. You turn on the news, you get a text message from a friend, bills, relationships, children, all of it. It's so stressful. And so we're constantly in a low grade space of dysregulation. And that's normal in our society, absolutely normal. But there's a lot we can do about it. So that we can more quickly get to a regulated space, because that's what this is about. Not that we're going to be blaming dysregulation, because that's actually a really beautiful thing. If we did not have dysregulation, we would not be here. If we always thought everything was safe all the time and we were cheerful and lovely and everything was good, we would be in trouble, because there are a lot of situations that do require us to have that cortisol and that adrenaline pumping through our system so that we can better address whatever it is that's causing the stress. And so our response to stressors, the fight or flight response, include fighting, like getting aggressive, like, no, this isn't going to happen, which is a very common one for parents, because that's a lot of what we've been told, is that I'm the one with the authority and I will not be disrespected. And so I'm going to be punitive and I am going to be controlling. And that is the fight response is very common in parenting dynamics, right? And then there's the flight, where it's like, well, we're just going to push this under the rug. We're not going to look at this. We're going to avoid this at all costs. And that can be also very harmful for children that need more structure and expectations, and to have the issues addressed, not ignored. And then there's the fawn response, which can be, well, let's just do everything right, and let's keep those problems from happening by people pleasing and by being very codependent in terms of making the child or whoever it is the one that has the power. And that's also not healthy for children. And then we also have the freeze response, where you don't know what to do. Now, all of those defense strategies are totally normal. And all of those defense strategies have value. And at a certain point in our evolution, they were absolutely essential for our survival. And in fact, many of these coping strategies we developed as children in order to address the threats that we faced as children. And so over time, we've kind of reinforced those patterns over and over and over and over again. And now as parents and in family settings, we still have patterns that may or may not be appropriate for our current situation, but that we just haven't unlearned, or we haven't been able to address, so that we can respond in a more conscious way. So normalizing the dysregulation is really key here. And I want to just stress this over and over again, that every one of us is going through a process of trying to get back into equilibrium, get back into balance. And so what we're talking about here is not about shaming the dysregulation or even shaming the coping strategies, but understanding when they're appropriate and when they're not, and what we can do to mitigate the harm that is done when we respond from a place of dysregulation. So there's a lot of compassion here for the dysregulation. So we're taking away the shame and the guilt. It's normal to feel these things. But what we want to do is develop our capacity to have an awareness of when we are dysregulated. And one of my favorite quotes is from Viktor Frankl. And he said that there is a moment between the stimulus and our reaction. And in that moment, we get a choice of how to respond to that stressor. And in that choice is our freedom. And so if we can slow things down to be like, whoa, 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 I'm feeling dysregulated. That awareness is so important. Once we can build that muscle, stretch that muscle a little bit so that each time we're like, oh, more awareness here, then we can start to be able to do more with this, right? Also, it's important to have strategies that are available. For example, maybe you know what calms you down when you're stressed out. Maybe it's a bath, maybe it's a phone call with a friend, maybe it's a song that you listen to, maybe you need to go on a walk or go to the gym or whatever it is. Know what you need to do in order to more quickly get into regulation, because that is what is important for your family, is your nervous system. And when your nervous system is calm and your blood is not boiling and your heart is pounding consistently and you feel calm, you make such better decisions. And this is important to know because when our systems are dysregulated, our prefrontal cortex kind of gets minimized and we don't make decisions that are logical or that are like our best plans, right? We have all of these plans of what we want to do and how to be engaged and how to promote the well-being of our child or whatever it is. Those go out the window when we are dysregulated. And so it's important that we try to get into a regulated place so that we can implement those really good plans and strategies and supports so that we can do better by our children and better by us. Because ultimately, when we are able to engage with others from a place of regulation, it is much more stable, it's much more calming. And that's essential when we talk about co-regulation, which we will start talking about soon. So when you're dysregulated, awareness, implement those strategies to get back into a regulated place and do what you can to separate yourself from the thing that is stressing you out. And when you can do those things, then you can be more conscious when you finally can come back with a regulated system and address whatever it is. It's difficult to see where we're dysregulated. It's difficult when we're dysregulated and we're really feeling like, to be able to like, whoa, 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 calm. Deep breaths, calm, count to 10, calm. Do whatever you can to get out of that dysregulation. And when you do that, what you're signaling to yourself is that you are safe. And when you feel safe, you respond in a totally different way than when you feel unsafe. And the same is true for your child, and the same is true for your partner and your friends and your loved ones. It is really important to know that when people feel unsafe, their behaviors are completely different than when they are safe. When we have better access to our own sense of safety, which is what regulation is all about, we're able to work from a place of safety that provides that safety for others. And that is so important when we're talking about relationships, but especially parenting. If you can this week, just notice when you're dysregulated. Just flex that little muscle like, oh, I'm dysregulated. Oh, and just by pulling yourself back into awareness, that is going to be really helpful as we start developing more skills, more techniques, more strategies around parenting. Thank you so much for being here. Please comment below if there's anything that resonated with you or that you have questions about or that you want to contest. I would love to engage, and I will see you soon for our next video.